As a young citizen of India, armed with technology, knowledge, and love for my nation, with a vision of transforming India into a developed nation, I'm joining Shobhit University. What about you?
Very good morning to all the participants from India and abroad. Shobhit Institute of Engineering and Technology, Meerut, deemed to be university, and its centers of excellence, Center for Informatics Development Solutions and Applications, CITSA, and Center for Industry 4.0 Technology Studies and Applications, CITSA, in association with African Asian Rural Development Organization, ARDO, New Delhi, organized this weekly international webinar series on open source digital technologies towards self-reliant India, Atmanirbhar Bharat. Today, 27th February 2021, I am very happy to inform that today is the Silver Jubilee edition of this international webinar series, 25th edition. On behalf of the Honorable Chancellor of the University, His Excellency, the Secretary General Ordo, New Delhi, Honorable Vice Chancellor of the University, the faculty members of the University, and on my behalf, and as Professor Emeritus and Chairman of the Centers of Excellence, Center for Agriculture Informatics and eGovernance Research Studies, Center for Agribusiness and Disaster Management Studies, Center for Informatics Development Solutions and Applications, and Center for Industry 4.0 Technology Studies and Applications. Welcome our guest speaker of today's webinar, Dr. V.S. Raghunathan, Deputy Director General and Head Open Technology Group, National Informatics Center, NIC, a premier institution of Government of India, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, MeitY, Government of India, Chennai, and the participants from India and abroad attending this webinar. Under this international webinar series, these two centers of excellence have organized so far 24 lectures in the area of open technologies to provision simple and economical IT infrastructure, a roadmap for students using free and open source software and reaching goals of Atmanirbhar Bharat, open source software and industrial IoT for SMEs, free and open source software adoption and business models, open data platform for smart digital government, technology imperatives make in India for self-reliance, edge artificial intelligence, data governance for self-reliant India, digital India transforming governance and society, India's email service, citizen at india.com in 22 constitutionally recognized languages, ecosystem education system cyber critical infrastructure, seizing opportunities in open innovation and value creation network in the digital world for self-reliant economy, ensuring food safety and compliance through technology, digital India, urgent need for semiconductor manufacturing in India, technology investment in agriculture value chain, role of foreign direct investments, entrepreneurship and skill development, artificial intelligence design pathways, rise of platform economy, revisiting value chain governance, the era of automation, industrial robotics, and industry 4.0, Indo-German perspective of technology transfer, skill gap analysis, and opportunities, role of artificial intelligence in healthcare, current developments in diagnosis and vaccine research, digital agri-tech and agri-startup perspective, health informatics network value chain, e-health system and beyond, leveraging emerging technologies for ensuring transparent, unleash the power of citizen development for enterprise software development. Today is the 25th edition of this very important webinar series. We will have the talk by Dr. V.S. Raghunathan, a distinguished technocrat on e-governance and open source technologies on the topic e-governance models towards sustained quality services to citizens, backed up by technology. The underlined words are e-governance models, sustained quality service, citizen, and technology. Let me inform the participants that the list of topics in this webinar series is growing very effectively. Technology imperatives, technology investment, open technology, open systems, open infrastructure, open source software for open infrastructure, open hardware for open infrastructure, open data platform, open banking, open insurance, open innovation, value creation networks, human resources development, entrepreneurship development, skill development, startups in open technology applications, open society, industry 4.0, example, pharma 4.0, textile 4.0, agriculture 4.0, government 4.0, industry 5.0, edge computing, data governance, digital India, India email service, open digital ecosystems, cyber critical infrastructure, dark data, dark cloud, dark web, dark net, technology enabled value chain governance, urgent need for semiconductor manufacturing to make digital India, traceability, enterprise software development, citizen development, and today e-governance models. Atmanirbhar Bharat, the road ahead. Atmanirbhar Bharat is the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, of making India a self-reliant nation, rested on 5 I's, namely intent, inclusion, investment, infrastructure, and innovation, and based on 5 pillars, namely economy, infrastructure, one that represents modern India, system, 21st century technology driven, vibrant demography, source of energy for self-reliant India, and demand whereby the strength of our demand and supply chain should be utilized to full capacity. This was announced on 15th May 2020 by the central government. And Honorable Prime Minister also given a clarion call, vocal for local to make it global, a demand-based economy system which is self-producing and self-consuming. Make in India, make for India, and make for global. The reforms announced have been systematic, planned, integrated, interconnected, and futuristic for creating strong enterprises, generating employment, and robust supply chain. This is our intent too from the university. Digital world is the rise of platform economy, application of big data, new algorithms, artificial intelligence, blockchain technology, open API, and cloud computing is changing the nature of work and the structure of economy. Platform economy is the tendency for commerce to increasingly move towards and favor digital platform business models. The platform economy provides as an opportunity for SMEs and startups. This economy is emerging. Digital ecosystems are essential for digital transformation in the digital world. Fourth industrial revolution called Industry 4.0 is the ongoing automation of traditional manufacturing and industrial processes using modern smart technology. The key technologies are clubbed as A, B, C, D, E. What is A? Artificial intelligence, analytics, and operation research. B, blockchain. C, cloud, IoT, 5G communication. D, big data, and E, ecosystem. Today, we are seeing Industry 4.0 aspirations, and tomorrow is Industry 5.0. What we would like to have is Industry 4.0 supply chain everywhere. Information theory of Claude Elwood Shannon, 1948, to Internet of Things IoT of Kevin Ashton, 1999, have impacted, that is information theory, 1948, and Internet of Things, 1999, have impacted digital technological applications very decisively in various development fields. Now, let us look into e-governance models and understanding. Depending upon the particular conditions and governance requirements, Professor Ari Halachmi suggested 5 important models of e-governance. Broadcasting and wider model of dissemination of useful government information to have informed citizenry, open data. The critical flow model of routing information of critical value to the targeted audience. Third is comparative analysis model of assimilation of best practices in the field of governance for developing countries to empower their people. The e-advocacy, mobilization, and lobbying model of adding the opinions of virtual communities so that the global civil society can have an impact on global decision-making process. Fifth is the interactive service model of individuals' direct participation in e-governance process to bring in greater objectivity and transparency in decision-making process. E-governance and MyGov are becoming the e-governance models in India. Digital India, through 9 pillars, namely broadband highways, universal access to mobile connectivity, public internet access, 2.5 lakhs common services center, 1.5 lakh post offices, e-governance reforms through reforming government through technologies. E-governance, reforming government through technologies. Fifth is e-Granti, electronic delivery of services, means transforming e-governance for transforming governance. Through 44 projects, central 15 projects, state 17 projects, and 12 integrated projects. Information for all, electronic manufacturing, IT for jobs, and early harvest programs. These 9 pillars of Digital India, each of these areas is a complex program in itself and cuts across multiple ministries and departments. Important facts of the 23rd, and I came across in the published document, important facts of the 23rd National Conference on E-Governance. The theme of this conference, which was held on 2020, was India 2020 Digital Transformation. There were 6 sub-themes: digital platforms, digital economy. Second theme is improving service delivery. Third is building digital trust, transparency, security, and privacy. Digital payments and fintech. National eGovernance Service Delivery Assessment and Digital Services Standards, Skill and Capacity Building. They're very important 6 themes which every e-governance professionals in the country should be in a position to understand and undertake in their own area of operations. Digital service standards, what do you mean by that? It is a list of a criteria that governments must meet when providing digital services. This covers all online products, including websites, intranets, user interfaces such as forms and online services and mobile apps. And there are also some critical evaluations which are also published in national dailies, which I would like to quote under the caption, "The limitations of e-governance taking, universal public internet access and dynamic IT applications oriented literacy is a far-fetched theory. Reliability of digitally published information when rules, regulations, and requirements get changed on daily basis remains questionable. Absence of interpersonal communications with and by the government agencies can leave many stakeholders unattended and disappointed. It has no concrete solutions to deal with the complex relationship between personal privacy and big data, which could have implications for both higher surveillance and monitoring and the breach of the right to privacy. Complex issues are difficult to address and resolve through e-governance. Before internet literacy, internet infrastructure to interconnect computers and users on the internet is an essential requirement. This infrastructure includes physical hardware, transmission media, and software. Without this, e-governance is a remote service. COVID-19 has taught a big lesson to us. A personal internet infrastructure is needed to avoid giving personal data to a third party. Implementing, maintaining, and optimizing e-governance incurs regular costs. This necessitates an e-governance budget. Its inaccessibility to the underprivileged is a serious concern. A prerequisite for governance is a full integration of e-service across administrative boundaries, which has more political implications. Sustainable e-service quality. 5 imperatives for improving service quality as proposed in MeitY Sloan Management Review, which I would like to mention slightly. Tangible, reliability, responsiveness, assurance, empathy, and knowing what customers expect is. The former British Prime Minister, Mr. David Cameron, during 2011 said, transparency is needed in order to boost efficiency through competition and innovation. Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Moni, hails Digital India as a way of life. He says, technology first is the centered e-governance model. While speaking at the Bangalore Tech Summit 2020 via video conferencing on 19th November 2020, he said that Digital India, which was launched by the Center in 2015, is no longer being seen as any regular government initiative, but it has become a way of life. Prime Minister of India has a great vision of making India a $5 trillion economy and a global economic powerhouse by 2020. Digital technology is more important ingredient to achieve his vision. India has been achieving its milestone on digitalization through its national level programs. establishment of Department of Electronics in 1970, establishment of National Informatics Centers in 1977, Informatics-led development programs since 1977, eGovernment, NICNET and DISNIC, 28 sectoral database development programs at district level, District Network for Farmers, ISDA 1995, Smart Village, Grid Program, Smart Island, 2002 to 2007, Smart Governance 2002 to 2005, eGovernance Program 2005, eGranti Renewed Strategy 2014, Digital India Program 2015, National Open Digital Ecosystem Node 2020, and COVID 2019 pandemic period, which has made us work from home, online education, and virtual meetings, and so on and so forth. Citizen development changes the game. It removes frustration among forward-thinking employees. It meets the inability to meet key strategic targets. It doesn't miss cost reduction opportunities, and it also overcomes the loss of competitive advantage. Let us take the code out of coding. Let us see the importance of citizen developer versus professional developer. And also, let us governance shadow IT development, which is taking place in many government departments without consulting the nodal IT department. This is the need of our in government department. From crisis to collaboration, letting citizen development promote agility. International Data Corporation predicts that by 2023, over 500 million apps need to be developed. Let us now turn to the address on e-governance models towards sustained quality service to citizen, factor by technology, by Dr. V.S. Raghunathan, our guest speaker today. This topic will motivate and galvanize the participants watching over telecast through facebook.com/Sobit University India or youtube.com/Sobit University in for motivating them to establish government 4.0 startups, at least one in every Gram Panchayat of that country, resulting in 2.25 lakhs startups, apart from 2.5 lakhs common services centers and 1.5 lakhs India post offices. Let me introduce our guest speaker, Dr. V.S. Raghunathan, to the participants of this seminar. Dr. V.S. Raghunathan is currently the Deputy Director General, National Informatics Center, Government of India, and is also heading the Open Technology Group located at Chennai. He has more than 35 years of professional experience, and he has held several critical assignments and contributed to the success, including the design and implementation of export processing zones information systems, foreign trade, etc. He had BSc Maths from Workish College, Vellore, MCA from BSc College of Technology, Coimbatore, and PhD in the area of design and performance enhancement of e-governance application based on construction by configuration software engineering principles. He completed management development program at IIM Bangalore, and he was part of a two-member delegation from India to East Timor that is called the Timor-Leste on ICT capacity building program during 2006. He has received e-governance champion award 2007 for South from DataQuest, and headed National Informatics Center, Kerala State Center as a State Informatics Officer during 2003 to 2008, and presently he is the head of Open Technology Group of National Informatics Center, Government of India, located at Chennai. The mandate of this Open Technology Center is to evaluate and recommend open source software for e-governance solutions, maintain distribution repository of recommended open source software for usage across NIC, is to guide and handhold NIC teams in keeping their open source driven source system secure, and to train on open source software and to have oversight of open source infrastructure across NIC with respect to cyber security. His forte is free and open source software, data warehousing, mining, G2C services, and GAS for the masses. He has pioneered to establish information system in 7 export processing zones, namely Kandla Export Processing Zone, Gujarat, Noida Export Processing Zone, Delhi, Visakhapatnam Export Processing Zone, Calcutta Export Processing Zone, CITS Mumbai, Cochin EPS Kerala, and Madras Export Processing Zone. Technical papers were presented by him in various technical forums in India and abroad. He has pioneered OpenGIS for Tamil Nadu census using map server from University of Minnesota and backed Posture Award in the National GIS Convention. Among various technical presentations in the area of GIS data warehousing, the presentation on generating the state asset register from the rural schemes and works data to the Chief Secretary Madhya Pradesh and sales tax collection due streetwise for the sales WALAP queue generated from the commercial tax data in Tamil Nadu are worth mentioning. His mission is empowering every government employee through ICT and deliver the true, transparent, and effective government to citizens' services, which has made him to carry out major initiative in the districts of India, namely DC suite in the district of Palakkad, Kerala, initiative on online counseling for engineering and medical admissions for the first time in India, and also at school level in Kerala, initiated many open source based solutions in Kerala during the stay using Joomla content management systems. And he was also board member in various state level ICT initiative of the government public sector undertaking in Kerala and Tamil Nadu. He was driving the platform services called Service Delivery Platform with the key objective of offering platform services in eGovernance space. Dr. Raghunathan is now heading open technology, establishing open source stack for eGovernance apps and created an ecosystem with the OESS, open source software artifacts. Dr. V.S. Raghunathan, we are very happy to invite you to this international webinar series on open source digital technologies for self-reliant India, Atmanirbhar Bharat. It is a very important day because you are addressing the 25th webinar in this series. It is Silver Jubilee celebration. We invite you and also to request you to address the audience. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, audible. Yes.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and I'm very happy to be part of the Silver Jubilee of this series, which has been driven with the sheer motive of knowledge sharing across the globe. Thank you for the opportunity. I would like to say some of the association that I had with Mr. Moni himself. He had led agriculture informatics for 3 decades in this country and traveled the length and breadth of this country, visited every part of this country and brought the agriculture informatics right from snailing space to moving space to rapidly implementing the ICT solutions across the country. He has led the country as a torchbearer for agriculture informatics and Bhishma Pitamaha of agriculture informatics. Many of us may not know that what he has done to agriculture informatics. And I had a very good opportunity of traveling along with him as a 2-member delegation to East Timor, almost close to Kerala, almost close to Australia. And we had a 10-day stay there and had very nice time interacting with the UNDP team. The agility and the kind of the work style which Moni has brought can never be forgotten. And we met the ambassador at Jakarta. It was a nice presentation given by Dr. Moni, and it was well received by the ambassador, and the program was well received by the ministry itself. Coming to the data model which he has brought out in the country, he brought out a Disney plan data model which was never thought. At that time, he has brought a model which was ahead of time with every micro details into the system. and it had covered multiple sectors as part of the grassroots informatics, which was not really understood by the people at that time when he had brought out the data model of Disney plan in this country. And it was way ahead, so there were not the right stakeholders were not part of it, and it could not pick up the right way as it had been originally envisaged by Mr. Moni. And I thank you, sir, for all the services. I take this opportunity for the great service you have rendered to this country. And thank you for this opportunity. Coming to our model of what e-governance model, I would like to take up from the organization where we have started the career with. As it is an international seminar, people need to know what NIC is. National Informatics Center is a premier organization of information technology, IT, Government of India, founded by Dr. N. Seshagiri, Padma Vibhushan Awardee, and he was the pioneer, he was the innovator, he was continuously driving people to a large extent, and he has established the NIC and NICNet across the country. In the length and breadth of the country was completely covered. When the technology was not known in this country, he has brought out VSAT communication in this country. And it was still, yes, inserted the kind of, the ICT system into the government was amazing. As there is no parallel structure like NIC in the entire globe as NIC is today to address the grassroots level issues. Followed by him, Dr. N. Vijayaditya has took over the services of NIC, and he has concentrated more on the gigabit network backbone in the country, which has led us for multiple ICT solutions to be rolled across the country, connecting all states, districts, blocks, and taluks. And video conference extensions were also initiated. Dr. Vijayaditya, who's done his doctorate in University of Minnesota, has really took the next level of the organization to really the next level. And Dr. Gerola, followed by him, has added value-added services, National Knowledge Network, which is today connecting all education institutes across the globe, enabling the virtual classroom mode, enabling the collaboration across the educators, industry, and it is a beautiful platform for the knowledge sharing as is taking place in a different paradigm. And he was also initiated the CollabCAD software, which was used in the strategic institutes such as Baba Atomic Research, BSSC. I was part of that as Vikram Sarabhai Space Center when I was in Trivandrum. I went along with the team and see how they've used the open source tool CollabCAD, which was based on the 3D open source libraries. And that was great effort, and that was a great product, and is still being rolled out in multiple locations. And the open source initiatives were taken next level by Dr. Suhas and Balasubramaniam and NIC with a very much agility to work along with the ministry to bring out the policy and establish the policy ecosystem in this country. Without the policy and the drive and the mandate, nothing is going to happen in this country. So they have really driven the policy along with MeitY and brought out the open source policy in 2015, and they worked on open API policy, they worked on standards. The moment you say there is a policy, when you can go together, when people can collaborate and open source, then standard is mandatory. So they have brought out the e-governance standards initiative to a large extent. I've formed groups across the country in various domains to bring out the e-governance standards. Today we have the e-governance standards.gov.in as a site for reference for all interoperability with respect to technical collaboration or all people who are involved in this. So that eliminates the vendor lock-in totally, which is the basis of open source. And today, Open Technology Group, as a sequel of this, has established an ecosystem towards the adoption of open source.
Mr. Raghunathan, are you using PowerPoint? No.
Yeah.
To open the PowerPoint?
Yeah.
No, but it's not visible here.
Okay.
It's not visible here. Uh, you load. Okay.
Yeah, followed by,
Okay.
yes, now we have a open technology group of NIC. Has established the ecosystem towards the adoption of open source at all data centers of India. And this is a series on open source, so I don't have to go into details of what open source is. But today, open source is inevitable. It's a free open standard cloud computing platform, mostly deployed as infrastructure as service, both public and private clouds, where virtual servers and other resources are made available to the users. The platform is a collaborative platform. There is no vendor lock-in. Anybody can bring any solution and play on it. And that is the kind of open devices which we are talking about today. And the open source today is inevitable. As Moni sir has already mentioned, Open Infra Foundation is already there in place with 100,000 members and 187 countries onboarded, and it has become inevitable, and it is only the charges services. People can avail only services on the top of it. There is no license fee associated. There is no vendor lock-in which takes place. That is the way which was envisaged, and the open source policy was the enabler. And today we have this as a open infra foundation with all people collaborating and taking open source as an inevitable stream, and all players come over that and provide the value-added services on the top of that. Way back 2015, the policy paradigm was in place in India. The thrust of the policy requires that Government of India shall endeavor to adopt open source software in all e-governance systems implemented by various government organizations as a first preferred option in comparison to closed source software. Because we need to eliminate the vendor lock-in situation, right? I still remember Dr. Suhas mentioning why government organizations should pay through nose to different organizations when we have the open source available and is secured behind the firewall, and if we can test it and make it available. So the effectuate of the policy, today we can see that all the proposals in government, RFP, and every proposal is ensured that this compliance is achieved, so that we have the strategic control, scalability, security, and lifetime costs and support requirements are taken care. The NIC has the key contributions in the open source policy standards. Instrumental was Dr. Gela Group, Dr. Suhas and Dr. Balasubramaniam as part of this. 2011 onwards, various committees were thrown across the country. Various academicians and the subject domain experts were part of the team, and they had several sessions to bring out the standards. And today egovstandards.gov.in is available for making interoperability, so that players can come in and play over that, so that we can vendor lock-in situation is completely eliminated. Open API policy was brought out in 2014, and the contributions from Open Technology Center at that time was immeasurable. 2015, the policy was out from Government of India after all approvals, and standards were cleared one by one, and they were all made available in the Ministry of IT website. And framework for adoption of open source software in e-governance system was made available as part of Ministry of Information and Technologies. Coming to what the open source software services which are being offered by Open Technology Group as to all e-governance stakeholders is a compendium of the services, which includes the open source repository to make use of. It uses all the open source templates, ISO images, packages which are tested, hardened, and vulnerability audited and kept for the e-governance practitioners to make use of. It includes the guidance, complete guidance cheat sheets, and OSS update tools to update if any update is required for the deployment. It addresses all the streams right from development, deployment, and the middleware. It includes Also, the portal includes the service desk where the e-governance practitioner can ask the support requirements of whatever has been deployed based on the stack it is being addressed. Knowledge documents are also part of this portal where people can understand how they can scale the existing, say for example, the Postgres database, you want to have horizontal and vertical scalability, how it can be achieved. Or you would like to port from Oracle to PostgreSQL for your application, changing the database and eliminating the licenses connected with. So these are the documents which tell you how the know-how of how to do it and what are the things to be tuned and what are the parameters to be taken care before you take up such an exercise. And this portal also offers the advisory as to the deployment version of the open source for the e-governance system is currently supported, or whether it is vulnerable, or whether that can be continued or should be updated and upgraded. And there are three different color categories which are coded there as red, which we have to move to the next version, and the blue is still supported version. Yes, you can go in there, but ultimately you have to go to the green, which is the latest version. So when we have to move from open source, which has been implemented already, moving directly to the latest version is difficult, as because the application systems have to be validated before that, because there would be entire model design architecture would have changed. So application system has to be validated. Hence, we recommend still supported system to move on without much of changes so that application can still run, and then the migration plan for the current version can be proposed. So this portal is available for all e-governance practitioners within NIC, and NIC officers can also enable other e-governance practitioners into the system by way of authenticating them into the portal so that they can also avail the services of this portal. As we have the compendium of what are all the software that we recommend to use, NIC has come out with the NIC open source software stack. The stack covers from app development to mobile development to data management, JS tools, DevOps tools, portals, collaborative tools, analytic tools, testing tools, deployment tools, infrastructure tools, and operating systems. So the stack entirely, every tool has been based on the community activeness of the community, the patches that are being relieved, and the safety, right? The stack has been recommended in various areas which can be used. Barring the development tools which are used, the design tools which are used, the deployment tools are more important for us from the security perspective, as they are exposed to the public network. 2014, the first version was brought out. GUI policy was in place in 2015, and 2019 the compendium of what has been actually deployed and support services started by Open Technology Group. In 2019, whatever stack has been displayed, the service tickets were taken to address the issues whatever has been part of the stack, and also the support requirements were taken care, and also the deployment artifacts have been prepared and then tested and then vulnerability audited, hardened, and then placed in the stack for others' use. So this started in 2019, and 2020 we came with the next release of the NIC open source software stack. The OSS services, open source software services based on the stack which has been designed, which has been deployed. From the OS perspective, we had the CentOS as the basis, or Ubuntu as a basis, as a base OS. So we have the mirror repos deployed in our data centers. We had developed the templates which are tested, hardened, and vulnerability audited and placed for instant deployment in the cloud. So cloud ready images were made as QCOW2 images were made for deployment in the cloud, and the packages were also made available for independent updates and OpenStack requirements. metadata update and advisor is a part of this, as across the country all the deployments were captured through the digital NIC, and the metadata has been studied completely. The deployment stack, whatever deployment stack, has been studied completely, and the version used has been critically examined, and whichever was vulnerable, whichever got a security problem, issues, whenever you use open source, those are given personalized alerts to the owners of that deployment. Yes, this is the version. You have used Drupal so-and-so version, and this version is vulnerable today. And you have to move to the version X.Y and immediately for staying secure. Or you have to move ultimately to this version. So the team has to work out the migration plan as to how they can work around that. So this metadata update keeps happening in the portal, and alerts are being issued over email, over GIMS, which is a messaging platform in NIC. And we have a service desk calls on the deployment stack, whatever has been defined in the stack. For those OSS artifacts, service desk calls are attended by OTG, and the solutions are being provided when they have issues, especially the issues on migration, issues on porting, moving to open source from the closed source. So these are part of the services of the stack, the services which are associated with the stack. In order to maintain and sustain all these services, we had a back office portal to manage the entire show. So we had the complete published templates are made available as part of this, and published ISOs and QCOW to images for the cloud team to make use and deploy. And updates are provided periodically for keeping them updated on whatever has been deployed, and alerts have been pushed to the deployment teams or owners of the applications of open source to change whatever version that they need to change for the deployment which has been already done. So every template, every ISO, every artifact is being hardened, vulnerability audited, and published. As part of the security oversight, security is the key concern when it comes to open source. So number one, as I said earlier, personalized alerts are being provided, and then periodic alerts through GIMS are also provided as what are the tools which are being updated. So entire metadata lifecycle management is managed through the portal, and the deployment, securing the deployment, state-wise review was done. What are the deployments in each state as open source deployments which are available, and what are the changes required, and change requirements were addressed. So there is a portion in the portal itself, is my version recommended. So when you, at the inception of the project itself, when you decide what is the stack, what is the deployment stack, the entire stack, you can verify whether it is secured before you go in for. The moment you choose the version which is recommended, the stack which is recommended, and then you put it on development and deployment, the same version, then you do not have much of hassles while rolling it out. So while rolling out, you will not have surprises when you consult the portal for the stack which is validated well ahead of implementation. But how we do that, you can see the community artifacts are being placed, Apache, PHP, Python, PostgreSQL, Tomcat, which are already there, which are being commonly used on almost of the deployments, the eGovernance deployments. And whether it is ISO, RPM, or source compilation in some cases, we need to compile and create the artifact. And then we do the hardening process, and then vulnerability audit is done, and the ISO or RPM or the final artifact is being placed in the portal for delivery, which can be used either by the cloud team or the individual team. The best part is that this can be taken offline also for the rollout within a particular department or within a particular state, which is intranet in the case. For example, the courts, right? All the courts use a particular stack which is already hardened, which is already vulnerability audited, which is tested, and it can be fine-tuned for their requirement. That ISO can be taken and that can be rolled out. That is totally secured within their environment. So it is both for the cloud deployment and also for the application rollouts, which the verticals can decide for internal requirements for within intranet, or whether it is public network or private network. Once the artifacts are made available, you can see these are available as platform as service under the Meghraj cloud of NIC. They are available platform as service. You want Ubuntu, it is there, right? You have the web stack, you have the database stack, you have the app server stack, and you have the with GUI, without GUI, the desktop. So you can take this, right, and you can do the updates. The update process and procedure are clearly mentioned in the cheat sheets which are published in the portal and is made available for people. And also we have prepared the videos for how to keep your web stack updated, because it is already available as platform as service under the cloud, and how you can do the update on the stack which you have. It could be a web stack, it could be a database stack, or it could be your own desktop. So whatever, you will be able to update that, and update instances are given here. Similarly, for the CentOS stream, we have the platform as service artifacts are made available as web stack and database stack and app server stack and desktop version. And the update process is illustrated here, and as a video at the back end. Also, you can see how you can keep your stack updated after post deployment. You can stay secured with open source. As platform as service, these are the base OS which are made available, and below you can see the priority tools in the open source stack 2020. Here you have the Ubuntu 18.04 and 20.04 templates with combination of base OS, WebDB, and web stack are made available in the NIC cloud. And hardened versions of CentOS on.x is also made available with cloud-ready images with combination of. So both templates are available if you want to roll out within a particular vertical, maybe a department, maybe all high courts, maybe all police stations, right? You would like to do that. You can take that template, hardened template or ISO, and do that. Or you would like to take it from the cloud. It is already available, hardened CentOS on.x series cloud-ready images with combination of whatever is required. So these are all part of the stack, and these are getting updated periodically, and the update procedure is clearly stated so that you can stay secure with the open source that has been deployed. With that, what assistance from Open Technology Group is that we provide assistance for vulnerability assessment when they have, because there is a time lag between the time you have taken it and time you go online, and you really see that your deployment has gone obsolete, or your deployment has some vulnerability findings based on the CVE. Then we provide the VA support for that. So you can do that, and if the solution is not available and the solution is not, it is not very critical, and we have an exemption process for that so that you can get the vulnerability audit cleared. So we have done more than 500 plus vulnerability audit support for various deployments in the country. Compiling all that, coming to the services that are being rendered, compliance to policy. So we have the stack and adherence to the stack, and we have released the standard operating procedures for that. Roadmaps and best practice documents are released. To compliance to OSS policy is achieved through that. And we have the repository and cloud data center support. We have the guiding standard operating procedure for every update procedure, every procedure that you need to install and keep it updated, be it base OS or be it artifact over and above that. All roadmaps and cheat sheets are prepared and made available as part of this. If you can go to the tool, go to the portal, you can see the cheat sheets which clearly explains every step of how and how you can do that. Metadata updates are being carried out, and the templates of Ubuntu CentOS are being made available. These are the data center support which is being given. With respect to security, yes, we have provided the vulnerability audit guidance, clearance, evaluation, and support. And we have a service desk call which will be closed if we have real issues and update issues. We can support that. So we need to have a support system when you go with the open source. Capacity building on open source has been regular program. Capacity building programs are happening across the country, and specific demand-based capacity building programs are also streamed. And all the capacity building programs done so far are available today on the portal as in the form of all resources. The presentations are available in the portal, and also as in the form of video, it is all available in the portal. So the complete compendium of capacity buildings done is also made available for instant reference to the audience who are going along with open source deployments. Some of the milestones to recall: there are 1,361 CentOS VMs which are deployed, and 126 Ubuntu VMs are being rolled out into Meghraj. 6,557 RHEL VMs with PostgreSQL, with MariaDB, and other open source tools on the above the base RHEL are being supported. And capacity building programs, we have done more than 125, and we have more than 10,000 participants who have took advantage of these capacity building programs. These are compendium of services from open source software within the eGovernance practitioners framework, so they can make use of it. So that is the stream of what has been gone with the open source service in eNIC. Looking at the technology, we look at this is a slide from Gartner, the hype cycle of open source software in 2020, where you can see what are the technologies which are getting matured, how soon they are getting matured, which are the open source technologies which will take up. Right, you can see 2 to 5 years already. Many technologies are in the anvil. They are already being rolled out. Augmented intelligence, for example, AI for teaching kids, auto ML, container management, machine learning. These are all already there. Cloud native application architecture is already there. Be it RHEL, source or SUSE, whatever. These are already available. And DevOps CI/CD chain is completely open source and is available. Serverless PaaS, computer vision and blockchain, testing tools on OSS, continuous software development, all tools are already available in the anvil, and they are growing, and next couple of years they will all mature to a standard. So open source storage is still we need to look forward. So we will have the augmented multiple realities. The applications have to will take some more time as per Gartner, and their research study revealed that the technologies which are growing today, we can embrace them and get along. So that gives the list of the open source software which are coming up in the market. Coming to the e-governance and digital India, as deciding after the open source as a deployment tool, adoption of policy, convergent to policy, we need to see how the practitioners have to take at the managerial level, at the strategic level. Right? We have seen open source to reduce the cost. We have seen open source to stay secure. We have seen open source to see that we can collaborate and make better use of. Now we go to the next level, tactical and strategic level, where how this can be instrumentalized for e-governance practitioners to take it forward for bettering how the model can be better. Secretary Ajay Sahani has been, every meeting he has been talking about platform. So every meeting he has been talking about the solution on platform, interoperability of platforms to offer solutions. So here we discuss about how the platform can be envisioned so that how things can be taken up at a much faster, rapid way, how the solutions in e-governance can be rolled out with the strategic alliance of strategic people to plan it continuously. We have already the platforms, which are many platforms which have come already, and MeitY has triggered many of these platforms. NEGD, along with has been releasing a lot of documents on this. There are good number of documents available in the ministry site where you can get to know the kind of initiatives that are already happening. You can see the platform. The platform is one where all collaborators, all e-governance practitioners to come leverage the platform to the maximum. It could be a public, it could be a private enterprise, it could be a public enterprise, it could be MSME, or it could be a NGO, right? Doesn't matter. Anybody can come onto the platform and add value to the platform, right? Make use of the platform, leverage different kind of innovative services to the citizens. We have seen these two, Aadhaar identity platform. We have KYC, any citizen service. We have seen how KYC has been used, right? Be it anybody, any system, it could be a transactor, identity is a must. So any kind of e-governance service, the identity platform can be used without any problem. So a platform, every e-governance system need not build this identity platform within that part of the system, because we really do not use the reusability in the entire framework of e-governance offerings. So platform is the one which has been already identified by MeitY, and Secretary has been insisting on that for the past few years, and many platforms are coming up. NIC, driven by DG NIC, has come out with many of these platforms as a solution. We can see the unified payment platform is another, where again, for any kind of payment, any kind of service that e-governance is giving, you can use these interfaces which are open, and that can be integrated. So every application need not concentrate, need not spill their energies into these areas which are already available as platform and as services in the system of e-governance. So the whole system of model which is proposed here is completely reusable, scalable, right, and innovative. That is the key objective of the model which we are proposing now. So we are saying that the platform, one after another, we have to make use of the platform so that the e-governance solutions spring up from the platform itself, so that no energy is maintained. So no energy is spent on those, and we don't spend the cost, time, and resources into those areas. If you make use of the platforms which are already available, we have the identity platform, we have the payment platform, we have all the platforms that are coming up, and NEGD is coming up with a lot of proposals, and they are integrating many of the platforms. They have a long vision, documents are available in the MeitY site. You can see that policy platform is the one which is really missing in the entire spectrum of the e-governance services. The factor which is really affecting every e-governance rollout is the policy platform, lack of policy platform. The policy, everything has to have approval in the government. So any e-governance system cannot go ahead without any kind of approvals. Policy is a predefined approval. So open policy platform is the one which is the need and which is lacking in the entire spectrum of services. So we need to create any policy that cut across. It is a platform, it cut across any kind of application that is coming up. I would give one example here. If you see the land records revenue, right, and the registration, two departments, if they don't interoperate, right? If they interoperate, there will be a lot of benefits to the citizen. They don't have to run between pillars and posts. If there is a policy framework and policy is there, e-governance systems can make use of that. The policy which is available for interoperability is available. The application system will consult the policy framework, policy platform. and take decision immediately. So that kind of ecosystem is required, and amendments can be created. The moment you see the government has a traditional way of issuing GOs, right? The policies come out as GOs, and the GOs reach the department, and it is the will and pleasure of the department head and others to take that GO forward and take it that to the services when they're implementing it. So there is a long chain, and it takes a lot of time, resources, and we waste money on that. The policy has to be defined in the policy framework. The moment it is defined in the policy framework, every application system should behave immediately, right, based on the policy. So that is how the systems have to be created, and that is what is lacking in the e-governance solutions today, and this platform which is required. For every policy, there are stakeholders. Excuse me. Every policy you have stakeholders. Those stakeholders have to be consulted, and they have each stakeholder as a role to play in the policy. Suppose it is a policy defined by central government, and state government can have some amendments over that. So stakeholder, the state is a stakeholder, and they can do the amendments. The moment they do the amendment, that is instantly applicable to all departments down the line within the state. And when it comes down to district, right, the district, it is redefined. The parameters are applicable to that area is defined in the policy framework. Then it applies instantly to all the blocks. The moment it is applied to all the blocks, all the works of Government of India will have a change on take the policy into that system and work based on that. So that should be a sharing matrix. There should be an impact analysis of the policy, so that policy revisions can be done at the strategic level. Yes, this policy has to be changed because it has got a serious negative impact. Yes, this policy is good, right? We should have a feedback. So that should be built as part of the platform itself. The policy, if you see that policy involves, there are very many stakeholders in the policy. Apex government, Apex line department. You can see the direction has to come from PMO office, right? That is driven, that is defined in the policy framework. Automatically, every ministry will follow that. So every line department defines that. All the other subordinate departments will follow that. So the application system should not define any kind of policy as a static part of their application or their e-governance solutions when they build application. The application has to consult necessarily the policy platform for taking the decisions. It could be, the moment it is defined at the higher level, it is instantly applicable to anything that is required. It is not only state, central, it is also every scheme wise the policy is defined. And in the scheme also you have the scheme stakeholders, different stakeholders. And each stakeholder has got a different policy to be defined because he is the authority for that particular level, particular subject. He is the authority. So he takes the ownership for that particular policy as a scheme stakeholder. So scheme beneficiaries also give a feedback, and that comes through the system, and impact analysis could be a third party people who can put in these details into the system. So the democracy of successfully practicing, protecting, promoting, perpetuating our healthy democracies can be achieved. The teaming of this, all this is required because in the policy framework, everything can be defined as a team. So each one has got a team member as a role to play. He could be a owner of that policy. He could be, adoption. He could be adopting the policy. He could be defining a sub-level policies. Right? It could be any role. So this team and stakeholders is very much required for a cooperative governance model for a policy framework, and it has to be made accountable for every stakeholder in the system for successfully empowering people, at the same time holding them accountable for what the power has been granted. What power at the apex level, what level power at the PMO level, what power at the ministry level, what power at the state level and the department level, DRDO level, block level, village panchayat level, whatever. So those are defined based on the overall umbrella policy will govern them, even if they cannot define a policy which violate a policy which is already defined by the higher people. So this is what is required, and they become accountable for whatever policy they define. So this requires, and it has to be driven completely by a strategic leadership, right? Without that, it doesn't happen, because we have seen that only when the minister comes, roads are laid, right? Because all the other things will happen when there is an emergency, right? So the leadership is very important. All the schemes will stay, right? Unless it has to wait for a political will. So the strategic leadership is required. So things do happen. Successfully articulating the direction, purpose, and setting up the organization for movement in this direction is very much essential. And the policy framework would define, control, and enable people at the same time to deliver better services to the citizens at the last mile. If you look at the policy platform and the policy governance, you can see the table below. There is D1, D2, D3 stands for different departments. S1, S2, S3 stand for different services. You can see the service, whether that is applicable to which department, right? Then it is, and if it is applicable, the parts matrix will have a one there. Yes, this policy is applicable to this department. And then who is the stakeholder who will do that, and he will define the policy. The policy also can define the subscription, right? There could be NGOs who may be participating, there could be MSME who will be participating when delivering the service. So then what will be the cost of this? That can also be defined as a policy. So I have taken a slide from Deloitte Consulting, where they are talking about the regulation, key drivers for elemental forces, regulation and enforcement, which is required. This unless we have this framework, right, eroding trust, right, geopolitical tensions, political polarization, privacy, I think we all know that these things influence the service at the back end to the citizen, which is really a pain today. And we need to have an ecosystem as a perfect policy governance, so that even it has to be changed by a political man. He has to substantiate, and then it needs to be done in the framework. The moment it is done, then it is instantly applicable at all levels. So there is no need for lower level ministries, departments to approve that. So that automatically enables the services at the last mile, so that citizens do not have to run around. So summarizing that, policy governance has to take care of the policy creation, policy amendments, policy stakeholders, define each stakeholder, and sharing metrics, right, how it has to be shared, and the cost of sharing in case if it is offered by different ecosystem of people who are around the government, who have been in the PPP model or whatever. So, and then we have to have every system has to have, without any every system should have to have the impact analysis done. This has to be the inherent part of every system. Impact analysis is not a post-mortem, right? It has to be inherent part of every system. It has to be built in the part of the system as it happens. Impact has to be there. So impact has to be studied by a third person, not by, it should be a peer review. It should not be internal review, right? It should be a person from outside, right? So that has to be outsourced. That has to be come on PPP model. So impact analysis has to be driven by a third person. So it should be a peer analysis, and it has to be inherent part of the system. It should not be inside, right? That leads to the same kind of polarization which happens today in the policy makers. So impact analysis has to be, it is very important, and it has to be part of inherent system, and it has to be done by a third party. So that gives the feedback on what is the policy impact, positive or negative, so that appropriate steps can be taken by government, and the entire systems can be streamlined. So we can come after policy, right? We have summarized what policy governance has to be there in the proposed model of e-governance. Then we need to talk about the interoperability. Today, I think already Ministry of Information Technology and NEGD has come out with so many guidelines with open API platforms, microservices and web services. I would like to say here that should be public services, private services, right, have to be defined in this. It could be a technology services. Suppose if it is e-signing is one of the service, right? E-signing is a service made available in the platform. Any e-governance system should make use of that e-sign without any issue. He doesn't have to do it again, right? It should be made available. If it is what is the tax to be levied, right? The commodity price is defined by government. Then that will be taken as a service, as a microservice from that particular domain. So it is available as a service. If a payment has to be cleared from treasury, right, that should be made available from that respective treasury as a microservice. If you see that, because the application system have to be augmented, actually totally restructured in order to offer this. So the same applications which are running today are not suitable for this kind of platform requirements. The applications which are required have to be totally new, right? So that will come to that, how we can reduce the time cycle of the application rollout. So it has to be technology services have to be available as open APIs, domain services to be available as microservices and web services, which are with appropriate governing policies. It is not technology. Suppose somebody is offering the technology. For example, e-sign is being offered by CDAC. If that is offered CDAC, there is a cost associated which has to go to that. So the cost factor is already there. So the subscription model will come as far as the services are concerned. So you should subscribe for that. So the subscription policy and the subscription management is managed by the service owner. In this case, it is CDAC. So they should take the ownership of that service. They will manage the subscription part and offer services as open API. But it is available for any stakeholder, any e-governance system to make use of without any problem. So all technologies should be made available like this, and it should be available for any application system, and they are all should be open and available. All domain services, again, right, will have a subscription. It could be a free subscription also, but there will be a registration for that, and subscription will be enabled for that. If it is a third party somebody is offering, it is not only e-services offered by government in a particular location, e-service counter, even others can also give services to citizens in remote areas, right, which can be subscribed, right, and government can define what kind of pricing which is required for the services which are added by other NGOs, MSMEs and other partners who work around government. So it is very essential that government system should include all the stakeholders as part of the system. We are not supposed to eliminate anybody. Suppose a typical example is, suppose you are automating a registration department. You can see outside registration department, there are many writers, there are many people who are working around, there are many form sellers, right? There are many people who work around that. So you need to include them as a stakeholder, as part of the system itself, because their livelihood depends on that. They are citizens of India and they have to be part of the system. So they have to come into the system as part of the system, and it should be an inclusive system. They play a role. So you give the option to MSME to engage them, right? You give option to NGO to engage them, bring a subscription model, right? They are in and their interests are taken care. It is not that at the back end we computerize something and automate and do something. Again, ask citizen to stay there, stand here, don't stand here, right? It should be part of the system so that services are offered seamlessly and all stakeholders around the government system are also taken care. They are poor beggars. Their livelihood depends on the government office, in the local area. So their livelihood should be taken care. So they should be part of the system itself, and it should be an inclusive system, and the system should take care of that. And the services are offered in open API, and they can be used by these service providers as a subscription model or as a free service as defined by government as per policy, which is governed overall. The moment the approval comes from Honorable PM, then it is set for the entire country. Yes, service is offered at the village level, grassroots level. Next moment, the service should be offered. So that is the kind of system which the policy platform will enable, and technology platform will enable. Similarly, the domain services platform, we have anything that is, if you take a checkpost, right, there are multiple departments who work in the checkpost, right? So they have to share a lot of things between them. It is not that one department only looks and then you make the truck wait for days together there, right? And so there has to be corruption will automatically come in if you don't have that information and the document at that specific location. So we need to have the domain interoperability so that the domain services are also made available as microservices with appropriate sharing policy, right? That is very important in the policy framework, so that the services are available. So stakeholder management is taken care, role management is taken care, and every system, as I told earlier, every service, every platform has to include impact analysis as part of that system, inherently into the system, built into every system itself as part of the platform itself. That will give feedback to us as to how many people are using the service, how effectively the service is used or not used in the entire ecosystem. Then we come to, we have already said, if an application has to adhere to all these platforms and go with, then the application model architecture has to change. It is not that traditional applications would work, right? They will not work because we need to provide interoperability, so those systems will go off. So we need to have application platform where applications can spring out instantly as it is required. So configurable application service platform is required. It could be mobile configurable application service platform. It could be web configurable application service platform. It could be social media configurable application service platform. So it should be end-to-end configurable. There is no need for anybody to give a proposal for a development, and you take high sweet time for development. You'll give 1 year, and you take cost, you eat resources, you take time and waste taxpayer money. No, you come to the configuration platform, define what you want. Definition is given by the people who require it. It is not that there is another person coming in, because requirements are best understood by the owner himself who is providing service, not others. The others technocrats have to come and discuss with these people to understand first what they want. They may not understand correctly, and we will come to that, how the understanding takes place and what are the pitfalls in that. We'll come at a later stage. Now we'll talk about the application service platform, which is configurable, where you come, you put your requirements, immediately you can see how the system would behave, you approve that, and you can go ahead with your application. So the application service platform would have application specific, app specification, right? It will have the payload specification, it will have the deployment specification. So at the end of the day, the moment you define your requirements, the app specifications will bring up. The app specification could be in JSON, it will be transacted in an encrypted way to the server and the service, then the app will spring up based on the app specification only. You can see the app instantly on the right hand side. The moment you left hand side, you define the requirements, then the app behavior can be completely seen. The moment you approve that, right, it is done. You can see the preview and you can have discussions internally and approve, yes, this is what I want. The moment your app specifications are freezed, right, then the payload specifications are defined by the configurable platform, and deployment specifications are given by them. It will be validated by the respective teams, and it is up and for deployment. So the service delivery platform, this is the enabled service delivery platform of app specification. There is a configuration module, there is an activation key generation so that the key gets activated, the application. I'm not going into details of this, but that is this model we have tested in our labs. So app specification and data specification is what is the payload, right? If you're filling up a form, then data is coming up out of that. That is the payload, and that is how it is being deciphered, right? How it is being put into as JSON format is the data specification, right? And then keys associated to that, so therefore how the model is secured and the app is available, and you get the app and preview that and initiate changes if anything is required. You can see how the benefits you reap from the configurable application service platform at every layer of your application paradigm. You have app data layer, you have app middle layer, you have app presentation layer. In every layer, you have different things which you do in your application system as part of security, interfaces, and then policy, and then high-level validation. All these are built into every e-governance system. So here you can see the difficulty level of doing that is depicted here, which is very high, which is normal, which is minimum, which has got no effort. So when if you see in the traditional implementation, things are difficult. The moment you come to a configurable platform, right, these are not available because the code is already generated. The code is already tested. The code is already hardened. The code is already vulnerability tested. So the code is ready for deployment. You don't have to do, you don't have to work, right? So those are all the areas where you have no effort. The effort is in the area of your configuration, your user interface acceptance, right? Those are the areas where you need to finish off. So you can see the way the configurable application platform will enable the user to spring up the application as easy as possible. If you look traditionally the application lifecycle model, you have the traditional waterfall model, and you have an agile model, and in our model the configuration is done through the system. So app specification, data specification come up separately, and so the model reduces to conception, configuration, and deployment. So you can see how the life cycle is getting reduced. Make use of all interoperable services of the platforms, be it open technology, be it domain services, be it domain service platform or technology platform. You avail them, right? And then the application is made use of. You don't have to do technical part. Those are available as platform services in other areas. In summary, you see that you can see the configurable deployment services platform. We have covered the policy platform, we have covered the technology platforms which are offered reusable services, scalable services to different e-governance systems. You offer domain services which are made available, and then you have configurable app services platform where you can define that app itself, so you don't have to do anything. It is available for us. Finally, we have the deployment part, configurable deployment services platform. Today it is being made available by multiple stakeholders, and it is already many of the speakers earlier have spoken about this in the same series of talks. So I'm not going into that detail. Now we have the complete platform end-to-end from platform plus digital ecosystem, so that you eliminate the difficult part, give it to the platform, avail platform services, engage people around them. It could be department services, it could be technical services, it could be domain services, it could be anything. Engage the platform interfaces so that it is done. We define configurable app, use configurable app services to define your requirements so that the app is ready, and you have scalable container platform today, so readily deployable in the OpenStack environment. So that is the application lifecycle. So you can see a typical app is coming through that, And you have the policy platform, you have the identity platform, you have technology open API services, you have domain microservices, you have a payment platform, and many of these are available already in the NEGD document in the MeitY site. So many platforms are already there. Make use of them. I only add one more application configuration module to that, so that the app is defined without any problem. So app prototype is instantly available. The moment you finish your specification, prototype is available for you to take and discuss, right? There is no time lost. So that is what it is. If you see the typical CI/CD pipeline app development life cycle, it is development and operations cycle, right? This is a typical CI/CD pipeline where the entire development is taken off by our platforms, right? Reusable services and configurable app development itself, so that the left-hand side is a smooth sail. You need to work with the different platforms and digital ecosystems, so these are available. On the other side, you have right-hand side, you have the continuous integration, continuous deployment, where things can be tested. And here also the testing will be smooth, easy, quick, because the systems are already tested. Code is available from the application configuration system, so the operations are very smooth. Again, we need to add the continuous impact analysis to that, so that it is inherent part of the system. It has to be done by a peer group, not by the same group which is implementing and a third party, so that it is looked from outside, from stakeholders perspective, from citizen perspective, not from department insider perspective. So the impact analysis inputs are taken, that feedback goes into the system. So you remodel, change the system in the CBC, construction by configuration, right? CBC, so that the application redefines itself and it goes on to the continuous integration and deployment mode, so that it gets released to the end user. And you have Digital India, you have this Digital Plus Plus ecosystem, where you have all the platforms envisaged by our respected Secretary Ajay Sahani has been talking about all platforms. Here I am laying out all the platforms: identity platform, payment platform, and configurable application platform, and technology OPA platform, and microservices with domain services platform. And in order to check and verify the impact, we have the impact analysis done as a platform service for everything. And service providers are attached to each of these platform. It could be gross level or micro level, whatever is required. By engaging a PPP model, it could be promoting small companies, MSMEs, registered companies, right, NGOs and others into the system, bring them into the ecosystem, empanel them by government, either through NICSI or otherwise, have them empaneled, so they are all available. You can have them as service provider, clearly defining the SLA, the service level agreement, so that these platform services are enabled and available and managed by the respective people, so that application lifecycle reduces to a large extent, so that our model of e-governance takes flags off without in no time it can come up, and it is totally governed, and ultimately it results in benefiting the last mile end user, that is the citizen. In summary, I would like to close this. I think we have I've run out of my time. I will summarize with from our experience, what are the accelerators which have really accelerate the e-governance rollout, right? Some of them I would share here. Citizen first, process next, technology last. Don't bring the technology and trust. Citizen first, right? Look at what citizen needs at that particular location. You find nice technology at the back end. What is the use of that to a common citizen, right? When it comes to offering this service. So citizen first, so the impact analysis is going to give that what citizen wants, what he is not getting out from the system, right? So that is the first thing. Many of the e-governance systems which are discussed nice AC halls, right? And then it is being rolled out, but ultimately when it is rolled out, the citizen still has a problem at the last mile at the service counter. So service over the counter is the key, and how it is being offered, be it online service or offline service, or at the village level, right? How do you expect the service to be given to the end user? How a village officer will deal with that particular service is more important than talking about the technology. So the requirements come first and the process comes next, and technology is the last. And second one is design top down, right? You do the design top down, implement, validate, impact analysis bottom up. So because the bottom up you get the key results, right? I would narrate some example, because these are from our experience. So I would narrate an example here. We had MeitY has brought out the SWAN rolled out across the country in all states, statewide data network, right? And the POPs are installed, network components were installed, and throughout Kerala it was done. But the payment was due, because ultimately the payment has to be signed by somebody. So the bill comes to Principal Secretary of Finance. So he has to clear the bill. He called me as a state officer, come on Raghunathan, what is this? Bills are coming to me, whether it is working, how it is to be done. Then I told him, sir, this is this has to be done by line department people, not by NIC. You ask your line department people to throw the data into the system, which SWAN has established last mile to the last connectivity point, right? Let him send some data. If it is a civil supplies department, let him send the data for governing through that particular network. Then you ensure that network is working and you have things are done there, right? Then you clear the bill, there is no issue. If you want the services or to the level of specification which has been defined in the agreement or RFP or SLA, then we come in there and we check that point and give it to you. But till that point, we do not come in there. It is the service provider has to ensure that your data goes in through the system, your system, what he has established. After I told them, he has asked the line departments to provide data, the block people to give their works data from their blocks, and the civil supplies department to give the monitoring data from the civil supplies department. What happens there? The moment he said that, the data is not coming through, because last mile connectivity, he has established the POPs, he has established the antennas, he has established the line connectivity, but it has not yet connected last mile, right? The last cable was not tested. So that is the key part in most of the places. Then the vendor has to run around. He went to the actual site, because none of the guys have gone there, except the guy who installed the equipment. Then they have gone there, they've tested it, and then our software was put in their system and data was transferred. Then they have ensured that these things are working. So it has to be validated at the bottom line, right? What issues are coming at the bottom line is more important. Leadership is the key driver, right? You need to see that the things are driven correctly. Otherwise, we have seen that if it is left for individual block or BDOs or taluk, it doesn't happen there, right? We need to drive it. You take the data, summarize at the top level, and see it is being driven. Alerts are being generated from the system to the top level, and it is being driven. Everyday review is taken and pushed forward so that it happens. And self-healing auto-diagnosis be part of every system. This is what we have found over years, because every system has got some expected problems, it has got unexpected problems both. So that could be many things which we have solutions. We give solutions only after it had happened. So that really takes up a lot of time and consuming a lot of time, calling different stakeholders, coordinating with them, fixing them up. So we need to build this self-healing and auto-diagnosis scripts and auto-diagnosis subsystems to be part of every system, so that keeps bubbling up the issues, that keeps healing the systems as and when it happens for the known systems, known problems. And SWOT analysis at the design stage is not enough. The strength, weakness, opportunities, and threat is usually done when the project is taken up and then after that it is forgotten. Right, that is not enough. SWOT is required during every review post rollout. That is the key. Even if a single point is missed out, right, you will have that will cost us later point of time. It will eat out. Then you fix the problem, you fix the agency, then you have a meeting. Then lower level the meeting is not held, then higher level the meeting goes up. So we lose a lot of time there. So SWOT is required as we go in the project during regular periodical review as fixed by the concerned secretary. And we are advocating the model platform plus digital ecosystem towards simplicity, interoperability, scalability, agility, and resilience. That is what the system model, eGovernance model, we propose as part of delivery of this presentation. And we have some things which will pull you back. Retarder is a mechanical term. Okay, there are some certain things which will pull you back. Choosing technology first, system next actually has a problem. You don't want to thrust technology on people. We want services as a key. Knowledge at the bottom line is not taken into the system. This is major. It has a major impact in many of the systems. If you see typically a department, right, the knowledge guy in a department who knows thoroughly what can happen, what cannot happen, what is the rule, is available only at the bottom line. Operational factor, right? It is not a secretary's chamber or joint secretary's chamber. They know everything about system where we give a demo and they see the things and approve. No, it is actually the knowledge is available with at the bottom line only. So it is available or the key resource person. So we need to identify those people who are at the bottom line and operational level, who has worked on the bottom line and became a supervisor. They should be part of the system during the system design, approval, and rollout, so that many problems are fixed much earlier than after implementing. We go for we waste a lot of time in that. So we need to have the right person in the team. So knowledge should be recognized, not disregarding the levels. The seniority is not there. The moment you come to a system table, everything is same, everybody is same, and there is no level there. There is no senior, junior person there. You have to introduce, bring people onto the table. That is an open table, and problems should be flashed. So then only a right system will come up. So knowledge, right people in the department, we have seen after many discussions, they are at either at the bottom line or at the immediate operation level only, and not higher people do not know the entire system thoroughly. So they should be part of the system so that we can fix many things ahead of time. Policy decisions hamper the progress. So we have to have that many times, right, the decisions at the lower level which do not adhere to the policy, overall policy given at the high level, right? So that's a problem. There are many case studies. I don't think I have enough time to bring out those case studies which really we have experienced in NIC. Missing continuous review, impact analysis, self-diagnostic, and feedback into the system at the bottom line. So the feedback analysis and impact analysis at the bottom line is the key, and that has to be taken. The citizen problem has to be understood, not the technology prowess should not be shown there. Frequent changes of the bureaucrats or ministries hamper the system to a large extent, which actually reboot the entire system. All the efforts, cost, time, efforts which have gone in over a period of time, which is totally a cost, taxpayer money, is wasted completely because the CIO or CTO or the line department secretary changes. The next man comes, he throws the previous system and advocates a new system. Then what happens to the cost which was spent on the previous system is never recognized, accounted. The cost, time, and efforts are all taxpayer money, which is wasted. So the frequent changes, that is why it has to be process based, not person based. So that is what it is. So we have seen many systems now where we have spent a lot of energies, but were not really delivered the final thing after changes happen. The efforts are changing totally completely, so that we have to see that the processes are in place, so that next man only value adds, he does not discard the system. So I again seen an interesting slide from Deloitte consultant. The 5 paradigm shifts that he is talking about, though they do not have the ground level experience like NIC, but they really have conceptual level. They have brought out very nicely. So they have adaptive two-gear and tech incentive and human-centered and open government, which they are talking about the next governance, right? They use the more or less they are in line with what we are talking about, the model which we are talking about, right? But they are more technology-oriented towards they thrust more technology, but our model is more on our system is totally adaptive, right? It is we have said already the cross-functional teams intra-cross, that is already available. And tech instinctive is how technology can be exploited for the service has to be seen. It is all human-centered. Human dependency on e-governance system has to be totally eliminated. And openness, we have already talked about, it is already available in our model. So that is what the future government view, which the Deloitte consultants have given very nicely. It is portrayed here. So I would like to leave. This is the slide. The picture is from an EGD. They have put down all the digital efforts, which into one thing. That's from MeitY slide. I have taken this, and I have given some references below for the future good government, which you can look at and see for good reading. I would like to leave the last thought before I close for e-governance practitioners. I only give the term ROI. It is not return on investment. It is R stands for raise to the occasion, right? O stands for opportunity to be cashed. I stands for innovate continuously. This is what I leave with e-governance practitioners. Rise to the occasion, because government does not work all the time, right? Suddenly you see a push in the government if there is a natural calamity or a disaster management or election work, right? We spring into action. Results publishing, we spring into action. Political change, yes, and most of these things are suddenly come to the like then we start working on that. But we need to rise to that occasion. The demands which rise there, we have to rise to that occasion. That is very much essential, right? An opportunity to be cashed. You don't get the opportunity all the time. The political will not be there. Many of these things you may have things right, but political will may not be there, or the top level will may not be there, right? Funding may not be available. That's a problem. The moment you have the political will, the moment you have the funds available, you need to cash on that opportunity, raise to the occasion, and do that during when the window is open. Make the best use of it. That's the way e-governance systems can be implemented. Otherwise, we have always have build systems and then put them in a locker and lock it. That's what keeps happening. The last one is ROI, innovate continuously. That is should be in the bloodstream of all the e-governance practitioners at the top level. Keep innovating. If there is a lean time, you need to spend on innovation. You look at different technologies and see how it can be better utilized for the betterment of the people of India. So with that, I conclude my the 25th talk of series. I thank very much Dr. Moni and for this opportunity, grand opportunity on my retirement day. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Over to you, sir. Sir, you are not audible.
You can, okay, fine. So, in just 1 minute, that let me click the photograph first. Mr. Dr. Raghunathan, it was very nice of you for, through the PowerPoints, you really powered the point to galvanize and motivate the participants through your very important address and talk for about more than 1 hour 20 minutes, very effectively through experiences and what to do, how to do, why to do, and where to do, policy implications. In short, what you said was that you started with 9 pillars of Digital India program through 4 pillars of cooperative governance, and then 7 platform exchange. You call it as, you called it as platform plus digital ecosystem, and also very effectively said that construction by configuration or configuration by construction of software engineering principles, that with respect to development stage and operation stage, DevOps. It is a very important. I'm very happy that after 7 years of my retirement, today I was able to have a lecture of my own interest to satisfy my own knowledge thirst. That it is. I think your lecture has a completely service on the day of 25th webinar series. It's a silver jubilee lecture, that it was so apt that you brought meaning to the title of your talk. The government can have different governance models. They're all suited towards sustained quality services to citizens, but backed up by technology. And how it should be done, you explained very nicely. And you also were able to bring it out of your configurations to 3 steps. And that is a very important thing, that from eGovernance app to app prototype, how it should go through the prototype testing model, and it can generate lot of startups in this area, which I rightly said it. I proposed it, but you said that, Professor Moni, what your proposition can be made meaningful if this is the policy which people should go through it. You are very different, apart from, these identity platform, UPI, payment platform, other platforms which you have rightly put it, and also the problems which one goes through in a country which has got about more than 29 different states, different culture of administrations, and more than 700 districts. Many of the districts are have population more than some of the developed countries. So it is whatever the system which is made operational, it is with the experience. And you also very said it, return on investment is not in terms of money, it is in terms of innovation, continuous opportunity, seizing the opportunity and rising to the occasion. That's why, in one of the, lecture, Dr. Jabamalai Venanchi Arach, he was a former principal advisor to the Director General UNIDO. He said it on the talk, which is also available in the university's website, seizing opportunities through innovations, open innovations, and value creation networks, seizing opportunities through open innovation and value creation networks in the digitalized era for self-reliant economy. This is what you said it very clearly in your return on investment. So, Dr. Raghunathan, it was my pleasure, and I was very happy to have your address in this webinar series. And it was something like a fulfilling, appointment, engagement. And it can generate a lot of micro certification programs. And even though I was born and brought up in National Informatics Center, and I'm a product of National Informatics Center, rather than calling me as an alumnus from the National Informatics Center, I'm a product of the National Informatics Center. And I continue with my mission on that, how to, take these, tasks which we were asked to do it when we were in service in outside NIC through the, educational institution, through the 4 centers of excellence, which I was able to, established with the help of the Soviet Institute of Engineering and Technology. And, I have been voicing, and it is very appropriate if we have some sort of an institutional collaboration between NIC's Open Technology Group and the 4 centers of excellence of the Soviet Institute of Engineering Technology to promote open technology to the rural students. They also have to be, if e-governance has to be successful in this country, the rural students, rural youths too should understand open technology, not the students from the urban area. And that is more important, and we have seen it. And you rightly said it, that when I was given the responsibility to, formulate the district information system for 28 sectoral database development programs, and that time, we founded on information system, and that time technology was not available. Today technology is available, given a go away. And today you were talked about it, that how even the technology, because information system will reflect what the citizen wants. And you also very nicely said it, that citizen first, process next, and the technology. And this is the foundation layers, we said it. In total, in summary, 9 pillars of digital India, 4 pillars of cooperative governance, and about 7 platform plus digital ecosystems, and ecosystem architecture for digital transformation. And he also very nicely said it, that, with the information system which we developed at the district level, district plan, and with the granular data, and also that the 7 mission mode project which I suggested in the doubling the farmers' income, with all the 30 years of experience, and finally it is with the Krishi, Ministry of Agriculture, in the form of, recommendation chapter 10, volume 12B, chapter 7, 8, 9, 10, with the 7 mission mode project for total digitalization of agricultural sector. And all these platforms are necessary because 14 crore farmer have to be supported. 140 million operational holdings forms have to be digitalized. And it is a very big exercise. And these assets are not dead assets. These digital assets has to be mapped with the farm assets, which gives food to the people, which makes the country vibrant, and gives the food security. So I'm very happy that today it is a very important address which you made it, and a lot of things has to be done. The collaboration between open technology group of NIC and the SOAP should have engineered rural youth for rural development, rural India economically uplifted, rural economy development, it's very important. So let us have an ROI. Let us raise to the occasion. Let us seize the opportunities and let us innovate. Thank you very much, Dr. Raghunathan. And as a as a as a as your former colleague, and they were worked with you for more than 3 decades, and I wish you happy life after retirement, and gives me a great opportunity to host you. Is a knowledge hosting at the day of your retirement. And on behalf of the Honorable Chancellor of the University and the Vice Chancellor of the University and His Excellency, the Secretary General of African Asian Rural Development Organization, and the faculty members of the university, and on my behalf, I thank you and the participants of this international webinar series on on open source digital technology for self reliant India. Thank you very much. For further research inquiries, please contact Professor Moni
Thank you.
Madaswamy, Professor Emeritus and Chairman, former Director General, National Informatics Center, Government of India, New Delhi. My email ID is moni@sobituniversity.ac.in. Thank you very much. And we close this webinar and leave studio. Thank you. Thank you.